It looked like a dog, you know. They call it like the dog man or something. I mean, this thing was built. I mean, this thing was rugged. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to tangle with it, you know.
One night, I'm sitting there and I had a dead body in my bed.
Yes, that's when I started hearing the doors opening and closing and then walking through the house.
And then I heard the pounding on the side of the cabin, and all I saw was this shoulder and big head walk right by the window, probably a foot and a half away from my face.
Welcome to Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. I am your host, John Methenkamp. If you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share, you can email me at mythsandmullets@gmail.com. You can find me on Spotify, iHeartRadio, most podcast players. Just search for Myths, Monsters, and Mullets. On tonight's show, we have Ted from Montana. He had a terrifying Bigfoot encounter when he was a child. And then we have Laura, who comes in from Iowa, and she has a lot of different paranormal encounters going on, even currently. I have people asking how they can support the show. One of the ways you can do that is by joining us on TikTok. Come into the live and hit the subscribe button. By subscribing, you do help out financially with the show, but you also get sneak previews of all the episodes before they come out. Some cool little emojis and things like that that you can use during the lives. And then if you're not on TikTok and you still want to help out, one of the best ways you can do that is by subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. Help me with the algorithm. That's the best way to promote the show. Welcome in. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Why don't you tell us a
Let me
little bit
mute my TV.
Yeah, that'll help. You'll be able to hear me better because TikTok will mute my mic if it has voices and stuff on your end.
Right.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you witnessed the big boy?
All right. Well, I'm 60 years old, just turned 60. Spent 30 years in the Army. Hang on, I'm going to step out for a smoke. Sorry. This is still a little nerve-wracking for me.
Oh, I get it.
I was 10 years old, and I was at a church camp up in Montana. And we were in these cabins. You know, the males were all on one side of the camp and the females were all on the other. We were on the far end, and it was like the third night of a 7-night camp out. And when you walked in the cabins, you had a left and a right side. And there was a wall in between, but you had bunk beds, on each side. So probably 10 beds on each side, if I can remember right. Like I said, it was 50 years ago. And
right.
I guess it was around, I'm not exactly sure what time. It was dark. It was 11, midnight, could have been 1 in the morning. I don't remember. I was sleeping on the top bunk right next to the window. And I heard this scream that woke me up. And it just kept going and going. And then all of a sudden, I heard stuff hitting the roof of the cabin. And I couldn't figure it out. Like I said, I was a 10-year-old kid. I didn't know what the heck was going on, And then I heard the pounding on the side of the cabin. And I looked out just to the window, probably a foot away from me. And all I saw was this shoulder and big head. Like I said, it was really dark. So that's just the outline of what I saw. Walk right by the window. Probably a foot and a half away from my face.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know what I was looking at. Honestly, I had no idea, because this was back in 75, 76, the summer of.
Yeah.
And then there was just all kinds of thrashing, and you could hear stuff hitting the top of the cabins. And this lasted for probably, it seemed like an hour, but it was probably only about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then all the lights came on, from the camp. And the next thing I know, all these counselors and everything that were from other areas were out there, and I remember this short, chubby guy with an axe in a t-shirt, and a couple of them had rifles, and they're like, "Everything's okay, everybody go back to bed." And our counselor was even in with us, and he heard it too. Well, their kids huddled in the corner, didn't know what the heck, we didn't know, and so the next morning we get out of the cabin and going to go have breakfast, and I'm looking around, and there were trees that from what I remember, 4 to 6 inches around, pine trees, that were ripped out of the ground on top of the cabin, and
Holy
boulders
cow.
probably the size of bowling balls, and chunks of wood taken out of the side of the cabin from where these rocks hit it. We just kept going on because we really didn't know what the heck was, going on. And then I heard the counselor talking about a gal on the other side that was hanging laundry and got scared by something. I really didn't know what I had seen,
Yeah.
because back then there wasn't, you had 3 or 4 channels on TV. You really
Right.
didn't see much, and there was no social media. And so as years went by, and starting to watch more and realize what I believe, honestly, I saw face to face, still haunt. And I was actually just watching a show on TV right now, and it just has consumed me. And I guess the funniest thing about the whole thing is last year I got in contact with the church when I was a kid, and asked, hey, was anybody around at that time? Because, I've had a couple other little incidences that you can't explain, and the guy said, oh yeah, he said, that was the counselors messing with you. Okay, here's my point. Nobody ever said anything to us kids about that was just a hoax or a joke.
Right.
My mom's 94 years old. I asked her last year after I heard that, I said, Mom, did anybody ever say to you? She goes, nobody said a word, only what you told me. So if it was a hoax, why would they let kids stew on it for 50 some years?
Right. Or even just one night. I mean, come on. Why would you freak kids out like that and then just be like, we're not going to tell them?
Yeah. I'm a firm believer. They say there are 3 types of people. There's a skeptic, there's a believer, and there's a knower. And in my heart, I'm a knower.
Right. So I got a couple questions for you.
Sure.
You said you heard a scream. Could you kind of describe that?
Ow.
I know it was a long time ago. So
It was just, if I can remember, it was just almost like a woman's scream.
Oh.
Big, high pitched, and it lasted. I mean, it bellowed on. It wasn't just a short little spurt. It, maybe 4 or 5 seconds, maybe a little more. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember. But what I remember, I still have dreams of it. And, yeah, it was terrifying.
yeah. And then I know we're going back 50 years, but do you remember how tall the windows were, like as compared to where like you were sleeping? You said you saw it right outside the window.
Yeah, well, picturing it, and I've done some Google research on the place, and I would estimate the bottom of the frame of the window would be between 6 to 6.5 feet off the ground.
But you only saw the shoulder, and you're saying that's the bottom of the window?
Yeah. So I saw
Oh, wow.
just probably a little bit below the shoulder and the side of the head, and never even really saw the top that I can remember. Like I said, it was dark. It was a silhouette. It looked dark brownish, but like I said, it was dark, so I don't exactly remember 100%.
Did any of the other kids or anything discuss what happened or anything like that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was more in shock of not paying attention to anything else but what I was hearing and what I saw. But I was the only one by that window. I don't know if anybody on the other side, because there's only one window on each side of the wall.
Right. Right.
And today I still, it's funny, but I wish I had to look for a track. Yeah, but at 10 years old, you don't think of that.
Right. And and the thing is, with all the people around, that any tracks that would have been out there probably would have got trampled too.
Yeah, I don't know. But it has consumed me my whole life, and I live in Tennessee now.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and on Facebook the other day I saw where there's a group up in Kentucky, like May 1st, that are getting together to go out. And I thought, man, that would be fun. And then the more I think about it, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
don't
can
wanna
blame
come
you
face
for that. I mean, you went through something. I mean, that would be terrifying. You got things hitting the roof. You've got things hitting
And
the wall and screams. That would be terrifying, dude. Terrifying.
For a 10-year-old kid, it was. And it's still, I'll be totally honest, when my wife's gone and everybody's away and I'm by myself, I'm not ashamed to say I have a light on in another room when I go to bed.
Right. Right.
I don't know. Maybe that's childish, but
Not at all.
it's still
Not at all. There,
gives me shivers.
that isn't a natural reaction. That that was a trauma. So that is going to stick with you for the rest of your life. There's no shame in that.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This is the first time I've told my story out to anybody except for people I know, and it's funny because people say, "Oh, wow, that's horrifying," or "That's weird," and just by the look and the way they don't believe me or their sarcasm, and I'm just whatever. I know what I saw, and I know what happened, and no one can take that away from me. And hell, I even got a Bigfoot tattoo on my arm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
Ted,
it's really funny. Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. You're fine.
It's really interesting because we cruise a lot, and one of these last cruises, some guy walked up to me and he says, "I love that tattoo." And he started to talk, and his wife showed up, and he just shut up and said, "See you later."
Yeah.
And I was almost thinking he wanted.
I think there's a lot of people out there that have encounters and they keep it inside and they're just kind of looking for somebody who will listen. And that's what I try to provide here.
Well, thank you. It's so funny because I don't know how I happened on this page, but I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
But all I can say is to everybody out there that's a skeptic, everybody believes what they believe, but until you have something happen to you, you'll never really know. And someday I really hope to have my encounter validated.
Yeah.
You mind me sharing my other two little incidences that?
Oh,
could
no,
be
go
nothing or
ahead.
could
Go
be
ahead. I
something?
want to hear them all. I want to hear them all.
Well, like I said, I used to live in Montana. I grew up in Montana, and a buddy of mine me and him used to go hunting all the time, and he had two older boys that were in high school, and we all went up, and he dropped me and his two sons off to walk up, probably about 4 o'clock in the morning, walk up into this area where we knew the elk were going to come down and feed. And we got up by this fence, and there was this big black blob sitting next to one of the fence posts. And all you could see was an outline, and I thought, man, is that a bear or is that another hunter sitting there? you know. So we were going to let ourselves known so we didn't scare a guy if he's got a rifle, you know. And so I said, hey, we're coming up behind you, you know. Don't worry about us. We'll just go around. Not a noise. Whatever it was just got up. And it was pretty good size. It was probably over 6 foot at least. It could have been a man, but big, and just sort of walked into the trees. You didn't hear a noise of this thing moving, or whoever it was moving.
Wow.
Um,
And how far away did you say you were?
Probably about 20 yards.
Oh, holy cow, that is close.
You know, and like I said, it could have been another hunter that just didn't want to say anything. But the way it moved, it was sort of weird, and you couldn't hear it walk through the snow.
Yeah. And most hunters, I mean, you kind of want to make yourself known to other hunters, you know, if don't want to get shot.
Well, you're supposed to wear orange vests too, and even though it was dark, you couldn't really see anything.
Yeah.
So that was something a little weird that, you know, I never really paid attention to it. I guess I stuffed my original encounter down inside so far that I didn't really think about it as I was growing up. But
And that's part of trauma too. I mean, you know, you don't want to think about it.
Yeah. The third thing that happened was my wife and I were out in West Tennessee at her mom's house, and she lived down by the Tennessee River. And you know, I've told my wife the story, and she says she believes me, but I don't know if she really does, but that's here nor there. And so we were doing some work around the house, and we'd stay up late, and it was about 3 a.m, and we went out on the porch to have a cigarette, and you could hear the crickets and everything else going and stuff like that. All of a sudden, it just went dead quiet. And the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and even her, she goes, I think it's time to go inside.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, they say that's a predator. It could have been anything. You know, it could have been anything.
Yeah.
But it's just 3 things in my life that I don't think I've ever been that scared. And like I said, I spent 30 years in the Army and had a lot of things happen that would scare most people. But I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, I appreciate your service for one. And two, I really appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you so much. And I'll join in and listen to everybody else's because it's fascinating to me.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. All right. Started off great. Nice Bigfoot story. I love the cryptids. Love Bigfoot. It's my favorite. Yeah. I also like Dogman. Anybody have a Dogman story they'd like to share? Saw somebody said they had Iowa girl. Let's see here. Oh, moved on me. Let me try that again. Iowa girl, I have you a invite sent. Once again, you can find Myths, Monsters, and Mullets on most of your podcast players, but not Apple yet. Not there yet. But keep looking. How are you tonight?
Oh, not bad. How are you?
I'm good. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself as much or as little as you want?
Well, I'm not used to being online like this, but my name is Laura. I live in Iowa, as you can tell with the screen name. When I was born up by Chicago in a town of Crystal Lake. I grew up in a home where wasn't a real pleasant home life. A lot of my father beating my mother up and that kind of way of life. But at one point, I knew that somebody was going to die in the house, whether it be me, my sister, my brother, my mom, or my dad. And one night, my dad did the unthinkable and hung himself.
Oh, wow.
On my swing set. I was 9. It was 1971. He had another woman. And I don't know what his excuse was. I never got to read the note that he wrote my mom, or anything like that. But
Right.
that night she said, your father's dead. And I'm like, I know. I already knew.
So
And
this
do
just
you want
like
to spend
you
the
just
night
had
here?
a
You want to spend the
feeling.
night next door?
So you just had like a feeling or like a dream or
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. No, it wasn't a dream. I have these weird feelings once in a while when I know something's going to happen,
yeah.
whether it's good or bad. And mostly it's bad.
Did you
So
have you
I
ever?
spent the night at the neighbor's house.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, have you ever tried applying your gift?
No,
No. Okay. It was just
I don't know
curiosity.
anybody that I don't know of anybody that um, I could trust, I guess, to guide me in the right direction.
Right. Right. And if you're not comfortable doing it, that's not something that
Oh, I'm comfortable doing it. It's just I don't know anybody.
oh, we got to change the subject here because I'm getting a notification that
Yep.
that we're talking about things that aren't safe for children.
I got one too.
I'll leave you in, but do you have anything that's not that way?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can say that I saw his ghost that night that he passed.
You did see it or
Yes, I saw his whole body go across the picture window at the neighbor's house
oh wow.
because I was his little girl.
Holy cow.
And being 9, I mean, I kept that inside for a long time. I kept it inside for God till and I'm 62, so I kept it in for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Oh,
I've seen creatures flying in the air in my neighborhood because I live near a cemetery.
like what kind of creatures?
I don't know what they are. It's at dusk.
Are they like um are they like physical or
Though they're big, they're physical.
hmm. Wow. So
I
can you describe them at
it seems
all?
to kind of now they're just big and they're winged and it's at dusk, so sometimes it's kind of hard to see what they really look like.
Yeah. Is it like every night or just on random nights
No,
or
it's just random,
yeah.
and it's only been a couple times.
Wow. So do you think other people see these things?
God, you'd think they would, but I guess not,
That
unless
was
they just don't want to say anything.
well, either that or maybe it's due to your gift that thank you for the
My
hat and
ability.
mustache, right? That you're able to see these things.
Yes, I see shadow people when they're around. I see shadow people fly by me at times,
Yeah.
and especially at my work where I used to work at. A lot of people might be 50, 100 a day walk by me.
Really?
Just hear my voice. Yes, it's
Right.
it's messed up.
So it's kind of like the sixth sense.
I feel like I'm kind of in between dimensions or something.
Or maybe you can just maybe your vibration is at a different level and you can sense these things.
Yeah, I know. I know I have a very high vibration.
Yeah. And a lot of people say that, you know.
I
Wow.
sense a lot of things and a lot of. It's just weird. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
I've also seen things at my previous work where a friend of mine had passed away at the job, and for some reason, I know it was him. He took cardboard and just flew it up off a load and took and put it up against a curtain.
So like did it happen, like did that thing go up against there, or you just saw that?
The cardboard came up off of a pallet of sugar, and it just came up and just automatically up against a plastic curtain.
Oh wow. So was it outside?
No, it's inside.
Oh wow. So no wind or
Uh,
anything like that.
nope, nope, nope. I used to hear my name being called a lot.
Yeah. Holy cow. You've got a lot going on in Iowa.
Yeah, kind of.
Does so nobody else sees these creatures that are flying around. Does anybody else? Did anybody else witness the cardboard?
Yes.
Oh, really?
One person witnessed the cardboard, and one other person, yes, she did. And one other person witnessed somebody saying my name. And somebody just walked by, and I said, "Hey, did you say my name?" And they said no, because they were like 20 feet away from me when we heard it. They were
Really?
walking away from me.
So it was loud then. It wasn't just
And
like a whisper or
yeah, me
something
and my
like
friend,
that.
yes, no, no, nope. Me and my friend heard it.
Oh, wow. That's impressive actually. Because normally you don't get multiple people hearing a disembodied voice like that.
Right. No, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Kind of
something
freaky,
just
but
happened.
I guess I'm kind of used to it. So,
Right. Right. Holy cow. So do you mind if I include
but that's
your
my story.
I appreciate you coming on. Do you care that I use your interview on my podcast?
No, I would be honored.
Thank you.
No, this first timer here, so
Well, I appreciate it. So, and I
yep,
appreciate you trusting me with your story.
yep,
Well,
yeah. I think you're the only second or third person that really told this to. So,
well, I'm honored. And thank you so much for coming in tonight. And like I said, be
yep.
listening to the show. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then you should be able to find me pretty much anywhere else except for Apple.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
Yes. Thank you. Bye.
And that's it for tonight. Once again, I'd like to thank Ted and Laura for coming on the show. And if you would like to join the lives, you can find me on TikTok by clicking the link in the description and join me at 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Sunday night. Good night, everyone.